Hey everyone, it's Travis, Pagan Scholar, and this is a update on the ABCs of contemporary paganism. I'm super behind. We are way more than halfway through the year, and I'm only halfway through the alphabet. So today we're going to be talking about the letter L, and for this topic I chose language. So to start things off, I wanted to offer this quote by Heidegger: "Language is the house of all being." And I would also like to posit just a little bit of something inside there, just some brackets. Language is the house of all human being. Anyways, hermeneutics and philosophy aside, language is actually super duper relevant and important within contemporary paganism and, by extension, Wicca and witchcraft, contemporary witchcraft, because language is often held up as the linchpin as to why something did or did not work. I have seen numerous examples of on the internet when someone said, how come my spell didn't work, or how come my prayer wasn't answered? And usually the culprit that is ousted is, well, how did you word it? How did you phrase your request? It almost becomes this sort of legalese type of setting where the universe can't understand a basic negation. So we're really big fans of positive affirmations, and positive affirmations are incredible. They're amazing. They're super duper useful whenever you are trying to sort of ninja your brain into doing something that it normally doesn't want to do. So reframing a situation using language is important, and it's valid, and it should be paid attention to. However, in the sort of cult of positivity that often springs up in contemporary paganism and in contemporary witchcraft, this idea of no negativity, nothing negative, no negations in your affirmations, I feel like that's kind of a disservice. I feel like that's very limiting in your language and in your abilities to express yourself as a multifaceted and complex individual that uses a very complex tool. Language is by far one of, if not the most, then at least one of the most complex mysteries of existence, of how we communicate. It is the medium through which all things pass, actually. So I'm going to say it's the most important. But anyways, so one example that I recall on the internet was this person was decrying the use of slang in spells and things like that. They were reporting on a person who said that they did a ritual to get more spoons. So spoons, it's a expression, slang term for your ability to handle certain situations. It's sort of being at the end of your rope. Hey, that's a metaphor. Huh. But we also understand what that means, being at the end of our rope, because we understand how to engage with language in that way, and it's like we get it. So this person who did a spell to have more spoons to be able to handle things, a lot of the comments following were like, oh, I bet that person got a bunch of spoons then, and they were referring to like physical, actual spoons. And I feel like that's a disservice to both the practitioner, the person who is praying for more spoons, and also to any sort of divine or intelligence that is greater than ours, that listens to us and responds to us. I think that if we are going to posit that we can pray or cast a spell or do something like that to a higher power, they're not some crotchety old man who doesn't get slang. They're, if everything is intention, and language is the vehicle through which intention drives or towards this higher power, then the meaning, the message is not going to be tied up in how it is worded. However, wording is still also very, very important. So it's a give and take kind of thing, because wording can actually make or break a sentence. It can actually sort of reshape how everything. See, it's such a complex issue. I wish I could like neatly wrap this up and like present it to you with a bow, but no, I can't. So getting into how language is used, I'm going to say that there is obviously like the more literary familiar ones are the active and passive forms of language. So active prose, active language is favored more often because it's considered more dynamic. It's considered more there's more movement. We know who is doing what. Whereas passive language is faulted more often than not because there's a lot of ambiguity involved and it makes things blameless. So politicians really, really favor passive language because instead of I destroyed the forest, you say the forest was destroyed. And so there's no active subject that did the thing. It was passive language. However, passive language can actually be quite artful. It can be it can be favored for its ambiguity, for the very reason that it's often critiqued. So in poetry, you have masculine and you have feminine language. And masculine language is all of the things that we unpack with the typically masculine archetypes and metaphors of being aggressive and dominant and big-dicked and all this other stuff. And feminine language is actually considered receptive and all of the things that we associate with the stereotypical feminine, but with the feminine archetype. But feminine language is open to interpretation. It asks questions. It invites the reader or the listener to engage and to be more dynamic with the message and with what is being presented, because we can then we can open the doors of interpretation with feminine language, whereas with masculine language it's a much more assertive message. It says this is what's happening and this is what has been done and this is what is being interpreted and this is the message. And so the catch in all of this, like, why am I talking about poetry? Why am I talking about passive and active language? Contemporary paganism actually favors masculine language and active language as opposed to passive and feminine language, because which is weird, because with contemporary paganism there's this subversion of the patriarchy, this inversion of gender roles, and it's like we celebrate the feminine, we view things as equal. I mean, we have these lovely symbols here, but yeah, actually the vernacular, another language word, anyways, the vernacular of contemporary paganism says that if something's gone wrong, you haven't requested it in the right way, which is sort of like, so I need to be more assertive, I need to be more direct, I need to be more exacting in my language, which is active and masculine language. Whereas if we were open to ambiguity, open to the mysteries and alternative modes of being in the world, then feminine language would be a much more appropriate vehicle. But a lot of times in this spiritual commerce of if I do this, will I receive this? And I know that that's not everybody, but I'm going to say that that's a common draw and appeal of spirituality and contemporary paganism and witchcraft. If I do this thing, if I say it correctly, then this good thing will happen in my life. To speak bluntly, to speak in a masculine language. Yeah, I think that actually contemporary paganism favors the more masculine language. It favors the more active and aggressive and assertive and exacting language. And so thus, language, actually, yes, it is the vehicle, that is the house of all being, it is the medium through which all meaning permeates the world. Yeah, it's a really big deal in contemporary paganism. I kind of just rattled this off the cuff because I am trying to catch up. I hope this made any form of sense. If you have opinions, if you have thoughts on this matter, please put them in the comments below using language, because I can't understand just your vibes, bro. Please comment below your opinions, thoughts, takes on this matter. Masculine, feminine, active, passive, poetry, prose, all of these different things with language. It's a really big deal. So thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, merry meet, merry part, and merry meet again.